What up, motherfuckers? It's your boy, the Hater, and I'm feeling some type of way. Let me put it to you this way. I am sick and tired of the WWE and AEW as well, but more so the WWE because AEW is pretty much predicated on neckbeard nonsense. But I'm sick of the WWE going out of their way to listen to the dumbass neckbeard fans. Now, in the compound phrase, dumbass neckbeard fans, we have two key words. Number one, we got the word neckbeard, and number two, we got the word dumbass. This is by design. The Hater doesn't just spew things out of his mouth for no reason. One of my fans, or maybe a straggling viewer, put a comment on one of my videos. He said, what you're doing is effectively analyzing episodes of Barney because this is for children, right? And while he's obviously incorrect, I see the point, right? Wrestling has turned into this clownish, childish bull, you know? And fundamentally, that's why it's not entertaining to most of us. Who is to blame? The neckbeard demographic, that's right. The neckbeard demographic, who are also a lot of times dumbasses, for more than one reason, by the way. For one reason, they're dumbasses because generally speaking, like neckbeards, people like that just aren't very smart. I mean, let's be real. They're those people, we all know them. You know, they're the people that go like to one semester of community college, get like D minuses, and then they conclude that they're too smart. Oh, I'm smarter than the teacher. Why'd you get a D minus? Oh, they don't know how to teach. I'm smarter than everyone that I meet, even though I have nothing to show for it, you know? They're those motherfuckers, number one. And number two, they're also new fans. Right? They're new wrestling fans, so they have no point of comparison. Why do you think people like Dave Meltzer are popular? I'll tell you why. Some neckbeard goes to like play Yu-Gi-Oh with his friends and they're in a basement, and then one of them puts on wrestling. And he's like, oh, this is pretty cool. There's a girl there dressed like a pirate, right? Now, what the fuck does he do next? He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't even know what he just watched. So he goes and he starts researching. He starts Googling. And then he hears a voice like Dave Meltzer say like, yeah, you know, most people seem to think that this guy called The Rock is good, but they're all wrong. It's actually Kenny Omega. He's the best wrestler ever. And then the neckbeard, he has no idea about The Rock. So he just likes Kenny Omega and then goes towards that critical line of thinking, right? There you go. Now, the problem is of course, that because they're ignoramuses and because they're also dumbasses, like intellectually speaking, you know, they kind of hijack this narrative. They start watching for like 2 to 3 years, and then they think they are the WWE fans, right? They just fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. Now, that's the problem that I have. You see what I'm saying? Fundamentally, these neckbeard dumbasses are out there ruining things that the rest of us like. Now, that ship has sailed, you know? The Hater's not out here thinking like, oh, how do we get it back, you know? Like, we will eventually get it back. Wrestling will be cool again one day, right? But it might take 30, 40 years at this point. You know, it's going to take things happening for the ball to move forward. Primarily, wrestling has to fundamentally fail. Although with 1.1 million views on SmackDown, I can say that pretty much in a few months, we're looking at sub 1 million numbers. You know what I'm saying? And then a few years for sure, we're looking at sub 1 million numbers. We're looking at laughable numbers. You know what I mean? Like, this is just a laughable. Like, there's absolute... If you cannot draw 1 million people, you are not a TV star. Like Rhea Ripley is not a TV star. If she walks by the airport, I'm sure a lot of people, like in Deuce Bigelow, they're going to look at her and be like, that's a huge bitch. But other than that, no one's going to know who the fuck she is, right? She can walk past Main Street in Adelaide, Southern Australia or whatever, and nobody would care. You understand me? So with that being said, let's go back to the neckbeards real quick, right? The neckbeards and their insistence on, quote unquote, being heard is what's the most annoying thing, right? Now, the Hater occasionally will tune into like some reality TV show, some trashy reality TV show like The Bachelor or something. I'll watch a couple episodes, see what America's like. And one thing that I notice is that every season, there seems to be a catchphrase, right? There seems to be like a phrase that like the dumbest people, usually those like in their early to mid 20s, these are probably the dumbest people in the world, right? They have these phrases and they get more and more insecure every year, right? Now the phrase seems to be, oh, I want to be seen and I want to be heard and I don't feel like I'm being seen and I don't feel like I'm being heard. Good! Nobody wants to hear you. Nobody wants to see you. Shut the fuck up. Let the experts do the expert type shit, motherfucks. You know what I'm saying? And that's the issue that I think is fundamental in all of these situations, right? The neckbeard demographic loves to be seen. They want to be seen and they want to be heard, right? That's why they have this vocal approach. That's why they bitch and moan about everything, like on the live shows. You know what I mean? The most recent example of this, apparently, the neckbeard demographic, which predictably started cheering for Karrion Kross. They're like, we want Kross, or whatever the fuck they said. Probably exactly that, you know what I mean? I didn't hear it on Raw, but apparently after the show went off the air, people were like, we want Kross. I don't give a fuck. You know? Anyways, the point is, like, the biggest mistake that can be made is to listen to these people. Now, I could see it happening. I could see them forcing a Karrion Kross irrelevant push down our throats because the fans want it. And quite frankly, this is one of the only times when I could see it. And I mean, I would hate it personally, but I would understand because Triple H and whoever else is in charge of booking, Triple H, Lee Fitting, The Rock, Nick Khan, anybody else, these people clearly have no idea what they're doing, right? So if you have no idea what you're doing, well, then you might listen to someone who has an idea, right? Not an idea of what to do, but just an idea. You know? So someone might say, hey, what are we going to do next? Oh, we don't know. We have no fucking plans because we've invested most of our time on JC Mateo. Oh, shit. We're fucked, right? Then what happens? Well, then that person has to think to themselves, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. Anyone else? And then someone will say, yeah, why don't we take, like, Kit Wilson and make him WWE champion? And an idea like that, which would obviously be absurd, might become viable because people are so confused, they don't know what the fuck's happening, and they're like, yeah, sure, right? A lot of times you see these things in wrestling, right? Desperation maneuvers, like the John Cena heel turn and the John Cena run is a desperation maneuver. When things got stale a little bit back in the day, like after the Attitude Era, what did? They took Kane's mask off, right? Shit got stale. They're like, fuck it. Let's do something that people are going to remember. For better or for worse, we're going to remember the day that Kane lost his mask. Like, not the new viewers, but the viewers that watched back then, they're going to be like, oh, I remember when Kane, lost his mask, right? In a match. And he turned heel and destroyed RVD, right? We're all going to remember that because it was such a memorable moment. You know what I mean? Now, that's artificial, though. And the same thing is going to happen here. Karrion Kross can get that push, right, into mediocrity, but he shouldn't. And the reason why he shouldn't is not only because he clearly sucks ass, like I've been saying for like 3 years, but more importantly, he shouldn't just because it's what the fans want. Simple as that. Normally, I am usually pretty adverse to what the fans want. I don't like it when that happens, but sometimes it's good, right? Obviously, it goes without saying. Like the hater wants a Final Fantasy IX remake, he hopes it gets announced, right? The hater wants to see The Rock versus Roman Reigns, or I wanted to. I was hoping it would happen, right? But that's neither here nor there. The point is, usually, in my opinion at least, what the fans want is retarded. But that's usually true. Not always true. But it is almost always true in the context of WWE. Because the fans in WWE, for some strange reason, have consistently been given what they want. They consistently were given what they want, and it almost never led to anything good, right? You can't win with these motherfucks. That's the problem. Daniel Bryan gets pushed into the main event. He then has a seizure outside because of headbutts or diving headbutts, whatever. He basically hurt himself so bad that he started having seizures. This is WWE champion, motherfucks. And then he's like, oh, I gotta leave. He has a feud with Kane, and he's like, oh, I gotta leave. And then he's back. The next time we see him really is 1 year later at WrestleMania. And he's a mid-carder again. Nothing happened. It was a bad idea to have Daniel Bryan have his moment, right? Kofi Kingston, another bad idea. You know what I mean? You can't win with these people. I try to tell you, the neckbeards are never happy. Kofi Kingston, who is a fucking mid-carder, gets a WrestleMania win for the real WWE title, right? This is more than Kofi Kingston deserves, if we're being honest. He gets this. Then on top of this, he gets a relatively lengthy title reign. People don't forget about, people always talk about how it ended to Lesnar, which that was kind of bullshit, right? But the idea is he had this 4 or 5 month title reign. He beats Randy Orton clean, I think, which should never happen because there is no chance that in real life Kofi Kingston can do this. Right? No way Kofi Kingston is beating up Randy Orton. It's just absurd. You look at it, you're like, this is just stupid. Like, if I saw Kofi Kingston in the street, I'd be like, this is just a regular ass dude. Like, regular as fuck. Like, if he got too close, I'd be like, get the fuck out, get the fuck away from me. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be intimidated in the slightest, motherfucks. You know, and this guy's WWE champion. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The point is, he had this title run, which should have made him happy, and I'm sure it did. He seems like a reasonable guy. But the fans are like, how come Kofi Kingston lost to Lesnar in 1 second? Gee, like, the better question would have been, how come he didn't lose to Orton in 5 seconds? The reason he lost to Lesnar in 10 seconds is because in real life, it would take Lesnar 10 seconds to murder him. That's why, right? That's actually a scenario where it mimics real life. It's just silly. Like, it's like he's not even in the same caliber of species as Brock Lesnar. Have you seen Brock Lesnar? Like, it's not even, they're not even close. And people always get caught up in the negative part. And what happens is they remember the whole thing not fondly like they were supposed to. So the question then becomes, why would the WWE do what the neckbeard dumbass demographic wants? They shouldn't. They're never satisfied. It either never works out well or the demographic is never satisfied. Usually it's a combination of both. It neither works out well, nor is anybody satisfied. This is like, you can extrapolate this to other things too. It's not just WrestleMania title wins. You know, just for example, the existence of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You know, the fans wanted these motherfucks to be in WWE for so long, and it clearly hasn't worked out well. I don't care what anyone says. The fact that you replace Dolph Ziggler with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at the same time changes nothing. You could just have Dolph Ziggler. Just have Dolph Ziggler, motherfuckers. Put in Fandango, there it is. You don't need to hire these two jobbers and like basically like they come out there with like the arrogance of people that are good at something when they're in fact shit at something. Like Kevin Owens comes out there, he like tries to cut great promos, he can't, but then he doesn't understand that he can't. But there are people that cannot cut good promos and they become aware of the fact that they cannot cut good promos. And they try to work hard or they're like, oh, I can't do this. You know? People like Kevin Owens, this guy never like learned how to do anything correctly. And then he comes out there, he's like, I'm the best in the world. No, you're not. Like, nobody believes that shit. Kevin Owens, remember when people would actually say, seriously, they're like, Kevin Owens is one of the greatest of all time. No, he fucking isn't. Kevin Owens is like on the level of Al Snow on his best day. Like, Al Snow's better in my opinion. He's not one of the best at anything that he's ever done. You know? And why do we have him even in this company? The neckbeard demographic. There are some, you know, the neckbeards are not always wrong. There are some people that have had success in WWE, obviously. CM Punk, you know, Seth Rollins. There's a few that are neckbeard, you know, icons that have done okay. You know, of course, like obviously, if you hire every single one, like 95% of them fail like immediately. You know, the other 4% fail, you know, almost immediately, and then 1% make it to some level of success, right? Because nobody thinks about all the other neckbeards like the neckbeard loves that are hired, right? Nobody like points out, for example, that you have like people like Cassius Ohno, you know, who fucking just came into the company, took some money, contributed nothing, and then left. Nobody talks about Hideo Itami, who did the same thing. He came, he went, nobody seemed to give a flying fuck. You know, you have countless people like this, the entire Cruiserweight tournament. Oh, like Felipe Escalante from Ecuador is here finally. Like, nobody gives a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, the point I'm trying to make is there's a lot of neckbeard fails and very few neckbeard wins. That's for two reasons. Number one, the neckbeard, that is, the neckbeard is, you know, annoying, right? And dumb, and they have no vetting process. The neckbeard will like anything and everything. Once it becomes too mainstream, they stop hating it. They're the wrestling hipster. You know what I mean? Look at Nakamura. Like 10 years ago, they're like, he's the best wrestler of all time. Now they're like, man, Nakamura really got like dropped, you know? And then now people are like, he's not as exciting anymore. Like, shut the fuck up, you know? So that being said, Cucks, you know, you know, that's all I gotta say about that. The neckbeards cannot be listened to. It's time for WWE to straight up just understand their limitations, right? Just like I said about Kevin Owens, Triple H needs to do the same thing. Triple H needs to shut the fuck up, take a nice, hard look at the mirror and say to himself, Paul, you don't know what you're doing. It's time to hire someone that does. It's as simple as that. And I'm talking about like the way that Vince Russo was hired. Hire someone who has success in being a showrunner of a massive, successful show. Like find the person that's the showrunner for The Rookie. Hire that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Hire someone like that. Because the continued hiring of dumb fucks in the wrestling industry is obviously not working unless you want to hire Vince Russo, which would be probably smart. Right? They keep hiring the same people. They're like, Eric Bischoff, he's never had a good idea in his life. For some reason, Eric Bischoff just keeps getting hired. Like, remember when Bischoff was on SmackDown for like a 2-month period and like nothing changed? Like nobody would ever know that he was there or if he wasn't there. Like you can't see that these people are any better, any worse than Road Dogg, right? You just hire these people that have no idea how to produce and create good TV. I'll leave you with this, motherfucks. Every couple of years, last year was one of the years, every couple of years, we have a writer's strike, a Hollywood writer's strike. And, I'm not going to sit here and discuss how strikes work because they're actually quite complicated, but I could if you guys wanted me to. And every year that a strike happens, every show that you like and that I like just basically gets canceled for a season, right? Like The Rookie, for example, is a great example. The Rookie is a great show. Like the seasons usually are like 24 to 26 episodes. Last year, the season was 10 episodes, right? Because of the writer's strike. This shows you the importance of writers. You need good ones, motherfucks. You cannot just be like, oh, we need people to work here. I think I'm going to hire Kenny Dykstra, Bobby Roode, and Petey Williams, all of whom I actually like, especially Roode and Petey Williams. And I'm going to and Sanjay Dutt, and I'm going to have them produce the show. What? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, Sanjay Dutt can be like, then he does a Hurricane Rana. Good for you. Be like, I don't know, a stunt coordinator. These are not TV people. Their experience is irrelevant because their experience was someone told them, you're going to go out there, you're going to have a match, you're going to cut this promo. They cannot then take that experience because they were told to do it and tell somebody else how to do it correctly. Now, is it crazy? No, it's not crazy. You might think that these people have that ability, and you wouldn't be crazy to think that. But now that we know that they don't, because the ratings are 1.1 million, maybe it's time to get rid of these dumb fucks and hire someone that knows. Fuck, hire Juan Unda up in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? My fan, Juan Unda, who actually writes better stories. He sent it to me. He's the guy that won the gift card cuts. You know what I'm saying? He sent it to me. I think it's Juan Unda. How fucked up would it be if Juan Unda's a completely different guy and I'm just attributing it to him. But anyways, whoever the fuck it is, I think it's Juan Unda, but sometimes I forget. Point is, hire this guy, right? Hire somebody like that. Hire somebody that can bring something fresh. And maybe he'll suck too, who the fuck knows. But at the very least, you can do worse than what you're doing now. Just don't listen to the neckbeard demographic up in this bitch cuckolds.